very wrong with that. So then I got a little bit angry, and I said, you know what, instead of coming in affecting, 20, 30 kids, whatever, I want to run because I'm going to affect 8,000 students. So that was my impetus, motivation to run for the school board, because I was like, something's going on with Hempstead that they would not call me back, after all these other schools had said, come on in and welcome me with open arms. So I was like, I'm coming back, and I'm going to, really serve our kids. I'm going to serve 8,000 kids.
Okay. Oh, wonderful. So while on the school board, have you ever taken any kind of training to actually, become a school board member?
Yeah, everyone has to take training. That's mandatory training. And then after that, we have what's called more hours that you can take, and it's like levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, depending on like 50 hours, 100 hours, whatever. And when I left, I was at level 3. So that's another reason why I want to get back on the board, because there's a level 4, and I didn't reach that level 4. And I want to reach that level 4. I hope they don't have me starting all over again, but I want to be at that level 4, because that means that you have taken training beyond what, the minimum amount of training is.
Okay, so the training, because we don't know what you mean by level 1, 2, 3, or 4. So the training goes in steps, and how
they
you
go in
them.
Terms of hours. How many hours you have devoted beyond the minimum requirements.
Oh, okay.
So it's like I can't remember offhand, but they might be like 50 hours, 100 hours, 200 hours, sort of like that. And that means like step 1 might be 50 hours. Step 2 might be, 100 hours. Step 3, that like. So I was up to step 3, and I just had to get one more to be step 4.
Well, that's great. Congratulations on that, because continuing education is definitely a plus, especially when you want to govern, because I always said the only way to govern is to take classes so that you know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Because it's easy for people to tell you what to do, but it's better for you to learn yourself. And then you learn how it's actually done, not versus what people tell you in terms of, their way of teaching.
Correct.
So I think that's a great idea, and congratulations
Thank
on
you.
Getting to 3.
Level 3.
That's good. So what factors do you consider first when you make a decision when you were sitting on that board? What are your thoughts?
My first and only thought, well, maybe 2 thoughts. My first thought is for the children. I will do nothing that will hurt the children. Like they say, do no harm. My first thought is it best for the children? What's best for the children? What do they need? My second thought is, how does that affect our budget? Because when I came on the school board, we were in a deficit. So that meant that we were not spending our money wisely. So I always look and say, what does the budget tell us? How are we going to spend our money? But children first. What programs are best for our children? How are we going to utilize the program and make it more effective? So things like that. So, instruction, key. Student improvement, key. So it's the students, and then safeguarding the taxpayers' dollars from fraud, waste, and abuse.
Oh, okay, perfect. So what is the size of the Hempstead school budget?
Right now it's about 359, I believe, 359. But all this information can be found on hempsteadschools.org, and I would encourage people to utilize that website, because it's very important. If you want to know anything, look there. And I encourage the community to do that, because I know for myself, I depend a lot on the website. What's available. That's how I get a lot of my information. I don't really visit when they have their school boards, but I watch every single one online, so I know everything that's going on because they are live.
Right.
So anytime you have any questions, most of the answers can be found on the website.
Okay. Well, that's great to know that you watch it online because we can't be every place every single day because we have, certain obligation, especially if you're not on the board. So I do get that. And then plus, like you mentioned before, you could find it on the website, and then you could also foil the request if it's something that you need.
Right.
So it's good to know that that's what you actually do. So what is your experience with handling a budget?
Oh my goodness. I would like to think I'm very experienced. I look at every single thing because we know we have the warrants, the appropriation status reports. We have all those reports. I look at them all. I highlight everything. If I have a question about a particular line item or whatever, I ask. I FOIL. For example, I have a serious question about all the money that we are spending for Xeroxing. We're spending close to $500,000 for Xeroxing. Like, why? What are we doing? What are we Xeroxing? Things like that. In terms of attorneys, $1 million.
Wow.
Why? What are they litigating? So things like that. When if I'm lucky, honored enough to get back on the board, I'd like to answer those questions. I'd like to ask those questions, and I'd like to have them answered. And I like for the community to know how their tax dollars are being spent.
Okay, thank you. So, what would you like to see the budget allocated for?
Everything student improvement. I want to know about the curriculum that we're using because I'm very concerned that when it comes to math and it comes to reading, less than 30% of our kids are proficient. So that's a problem. So what kind of curriculum do we have in place? What are we doing? So that's my concern. I want to know what kind of curriculum we are using to foster the growth of our students. I'm concerned about the absenteeism because if kids are not coming to school, then obviously they're not learning. And, we're like 40% of our kids are not coming to school. So I think we have concerns that we need to address. I'm not sure if that was to answer the question.
My question was, what would you like to see the budget allocated for?
Right.
And you said everything children. So
everything children.
Buses
teachers.
is definitely a part for children.
Buses, everything,
materials.
and also teachers.
Yes.
Teachers, because it disturbed me that our teachers went like 12 years without a contract. That's unheard of. That's
right.
If you value, you have to. I think your money goes with what you value. So if you value the children and you value your teachers, you're gonna put your money there, and that's where I want to see our money. First and foremost, the students and the staff that work for Hempstead.
Right. Okay. That's a good place to actually invest the money. What is your views on introducing trade programs into the district, and how would you like to see it implemented, if possible? Because you mentioned that earlier, and just so happened there is a question here about the trade programs.
Roosevelt. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, Roosevelt has a trade program. They brought it in, I believe, 2 years ago. And I think we were in talks, but I don't know what happened. But it's Local 66, which is a construction. Plumbers, electricians, carpenters, what have you. And that's a program that I really would like for us to look into and see if we could bring that to the district. Because what I like about that program is that the kids have a pathway to employment.
Wow.
Which is really, because you get a pathway to the union, which means that you're going to have a pension. And we know how very important it is to have a pension. So that's the program, it's Local 66, and I really want to see if we can bring something like that to our district.
So what kind of programs outside of construction would you like to see?
Not really, like programs like
trade programs.
Well, but that's it. That's the kind of trade program that's going to have plumbing, electricity. I want to see a program that's going to bring, like I said, a pathway to employment.
Right.
I mean, there's, and believe me, I'm not knocking beautician and, culinary, all that stuff. That's important, but I'm thinking that this type of program because of the fact that it leads to employment and it leads to a union and it leads to a pension.
Okay.
And that's the kind of program that I'd like to see. Other things, like I said, other trades are fine. I'm
Right.
not knocking that, but I'm just saying for me, that's what I would like to see. I have nothing against the other trades, trust me.
Okay.
But for me, that's what I would like to see. It's so important nowadays. I mean, who has pension? There's so many people without a pension,
Right.
and we need that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially in today's society.
Thank
we do.
you. We do, and
Yeah.
you know they're going to be cutting it out. Everything. I mean, everybody they're trying to get rid of it. So if we could get in on the ground floor, and that to me would be amazing. So,
Right.
but there are other programs. You know, there are other trades and whatnot, but that's my biggest one.
Okay. Thank you. So, the next question I have is, what type of incentive you like to see offered to teachers and teacher aides for the work that they do?
Incentives. I like to see more appreciation
Mm-hmm.
for the teachers. I like to see them more involved because I think that, and as a teacher, I know programs were forced on us.
Mm.
You know, they would say, okay, this is a new program we're going to bring in, and you know, it's going to be good for you. Try it out, whatever. No, that's not it. No, you have to be in our classrooms. You have to see what we do. Because I know with me, they would bring in something. I'd be like, okay, thank you very much, and continue to do what I know
Right.
was best for our kids, right? So I think with the teachers, I think they should start teaching, you know, the workshops. I think that would be a great incentive. I believe, because think about it. It's like we value you. We know that you're the experts.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you guys start teaching workshops that you want to see? Do you know what I mean? Things like that. I think that would be so powerful, and so like we believe in you. We know that you're capable, and you know, come on, show us what you have. And I think teachers would appreciate that. I think that would motivate them. That's the way I would show them that I care and that I respect them.
Okay, I think that's excellent. I definitely agree 100% because I'm a teacher myself, and I know it's important when somebody actually hears the vision and we're boots on the ground working with the children, so we have a better idea of what we need to do with the kids in order to motivate them and get them working and stuff like that. So that's a great answer. What initiative did you implement during your last term on the board?
Initiative. Again, I'm a monies person because I believe you got to follow the money. We brought in a forensic audit company, Plant Moran, who discovered some things that were brought to the district attorney, because I believe, because if you look at the history of Hempstead for decades, you know, it's always been a financial thing. So I'm like, we need to follow the money. So we brought in Plant Moran, who's a forensic expert, but unfortunately, it didn't go far. We just got like their preliminary report, and then the board changed because, you know, well, I don't know if you know, but it's 3. So once 3 people make the decision to change, it changed. So the work that they did do was stopped because we had more money in the budget for it, but it didn't happen. So that, I'm very proud of that, because I'm like, we need to follow the money and we need to know where our money's going. And Plant Moran had come in and they had started to follow the money, and then it was stopped. So there is a preliminary report out there that I have been trying to get from the district attorney, but surprisingly enough, interesting enough, I should say, I asked for it, I foiled it, and I was told that we can neither confirm or deny that we have this report.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Totally understand what you're saying. So, are you going to continue to ask?
I will continue to ask, but this is what they told me, so maybe I have to take it a step further. And I don't know how, but I'll continue. I don't give up.
Okay.
But I did, and this is what they told me, because I foiled it like 2 or 3 times, and then finally they said, we will not confirm or deny that we have this report. Bam.
Okay. Perfect. So this particular question here is, if elected, how do you plan to work with the superintendent, the treasurer, and the other trustees to oversee the budget process and holding people accountable? How do you plan to hold people accountable, as well as working with the superintendent, the treasurer, and the other trustees?
Well, that's it. That's literally like 3 or 4 questions. First question, that's our job.
Right.
Our job is to work with the superintendent. Our job is to hire an effective leader and to support that leader. So in terms of working with the superintendent, I am going to support her. I'm going to support him or her, whatever decisions they make. Because if I can't support the decisions that they make, then why did I hire that person? Why is it hired? If we're going to continue to second guess, the superintendent and the choices that he or she makes. So first of all, I'm here to support the superintendent.
Right.
What was the second question? I'm sorry.
And the second question is,
By holding people accountable. You don't just accept no for an answer. You don't accept, well, I'll get back to you. No, you have to be consistent and persistent. So how am I going to hold people accountable? I'm going to be consistent and persistent. If information is asked from you, then you have to produce it. If not, we're going to have a problem with that. It's that simple. We cannot continue to let people get away with stuff because people are not doing the job that they're paid to do.
right.
And so you've got to hold them. You have to hold them accountable. It's like either you do it or we'll find somebody else that will. But we're not going to just accept, well, I'll get back to you, or I don't know, or what have you. No, persistence. I'm going to be very persistent and consistent.
Right.
That's how you hold people accountable. In terms of the superintendent, I want to see weekly reports from her. I want to see him, her, whatever, updates. What's going on in our schools on a weekly basis. And also what I'd like to see is a community newsletter so that the community knows what's going on. Even if it's a monthly thing, whatever. But the community needs to know exactly what is going on. Because there's a lot of great stuff happening in our district. I mean, we are an IB school.
Right.
That to me should be drawing people into our school district instead of charter schools taking them away. I mean, we're IB. I mean, that's like international baccalaureate. That's amazing, right? So we've got some really, really good programs out there, and we need to be shining our light all the time. We have a PR firm that we are paying $50,000 plus. What are you doing?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Come on. But not only yes, we should be out there too, promoting ourselves. You can do it on the website. All those really good things we should be promoting. So that's what I want to do. But what was your other question? I'm sorry. There was a fourth question. How do you work with the board?
Are you, in terms of make sure that you guys all work together to hold each other accountable?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. We've got to leave out egos at the door, as far as I'm concerned, because you have to put if you're about putting children first, then there should be no conflict. I mean, like what's best for our children. If that is the case, then let's do it. So I don't find it a problem working. It should not be a problem if in fact we are putting our children first.
Very well put. So what are your thoughts about them removing the superintendent?
My thought is that it was a complete waste of money. Now we are paying 2 superintendents, so we're paying probably $600,000-$700,000. In addition, we have monitor that we're paying over $200,000. So add it up. I'm not a math major. Add it up. $900,000 for what? That is such a waste. I think that's irresponsible when you do something like that. And I want to know, and nobody knows, why was she removed? No one knows. All you hear is personnel. It's a personnel issue. No, it's not. It's a financial issue, and you are not doing your job when you don't tell the community why and how you're spending the money. I want to see her evaluations. You evaluate a superintendent every year. So if she's doing such a wonderful job for the last 10 years, whatever, now all of a sudden, like, what's going on? I think it's a little bit more than that. I don't know what it is. I would love to find out what it is, but to me, it's irresponsible when you are paying 2 superintendents and a monitor, and I think the Department of Education realizes that, and that is why it continues to keep a monitor. They before we had a distinguished educator, and then now we have a monitor. So I think the Department of Education is like, we need to keep an eye on Hempstead. We're not happy with what's going on. That's my opinion. I don't know. But we continue to keep, being monitored. And I think there's a reason why.
Right. Well, just for transparency and clarity for everybody, we know that whenever they say something's personnel and you're elected official, you're not allowed to talk about it, because if you talk about it, it's going to cost the taxpayers probably more money, because we can now possibly be sued or even removed from our position that you guys elect us to do. So we know personnel means that it's pretty much that no one's going to tell you what's the real problem behind the scenes. So I just wanted to make sure I point that out to everybody, that you mentioned that, why. Once they said personnel, it's not going to be discussed. But I understand where you're coming from. When you were on the board last time, you made a decision to bring a new superintendent and a team. So why was this decision made, and what's the difference between the two?
The decision was made, everything was made based on children. But it's very interesting that you would say that about the superintendent that we brought on, because when they removed him, they had a list of a gazillion things why they removed him. Was that not personnel? Just saying. But and I know what you're saying.
I just asked the question.
Was that not personnel? When they decided to get rid of Dr. Warrenka, there was a laundry list of reasons why we should be removing him. Was that not personnel? But I'm not gonna go there. Answer to your question: why did we decide to bring him on? Because we felt that he was the best person for the job. We did not go into our backyards and pick someone out. No, we did a national search, and that search brought us 3 people, and that company that we used to do the national search, they interviewed the community. They did a survey. It wasn't like they decided, okay, we're just going to pick. No, they did a survey. They asked the community, what are you looking for? What are you looking for in a leader? What do you want to see? And based on that survey, they brought us 3 people. And we chose Dr. Warrenka because we felt that he was the best person for the job. He had turned around, he was experienced. He was Harvard grad, education, experience, worked turning schools around. And we felt that he was bringing a new perspective that we felt that we needed, because we couldn't continue the road that we were going down. I mean, this is not, like I said, this is for decades, and I would ask people to watch 37%. There was a CBS documentary that was done. So we felt like urgent. We needed to bring in someone that had different ideas, but more importantly, it was a person who could speak to the whole community. You know, we have Black, brown community. He spoke Spanish. He was able to do that. So we had a Harvard PhD. We had someone who could speak Spanish. We had someone that was bringing in a team of experts to help us, to help the children. So we felt like that was like a win-win-win situation. But for whatever reason, some people did not feel. Obviously, the board did not feel that way. The majority of the board did not feel that way. So it was changed. So once the majority changed, then everything was stopped. And to me, that was so unfair, because why wouldn't we have at least given him the opportunity to fail or succeed? When you stop something, 6 months into it, that was just so unfair. I thought it was so unfair to the children. But in answer to your question, we brought in the best candidate that was presented to us, and we looked at everything. We looked at the fact that he was bringing in a team of experts. We looked at the fact that, and I just want to just share something with you, he had committees, and that's what I really loved about it, because the committees consist of teachers and parents and people from the community. So it was like everyone was getting involved. We had we had an operational effective and efficiency committee. We had a teaching and learning committee. We had a mission, leadership, and organizational committee. So all these things were new and exciting for me as an educator, because I'm like, oh my goodness, now everyone's going to get involved in this. Everyone's going to get involved. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. Some people's, why? I don't know. I think sometimes change is hard for people, particularly if you're not part of that change and you bring in stuff and it's like, no, you didn't include me. That's going to be hard. But I think that it had people really looked at what he was bringing to the table, i.e., what was good for the kids, for the students. I think maybe we might have a different outcome, because look at where we are now. 10 years later, we're in the same position. 2 superintendents, laying off teachers, programs being cut. So 10 years later, we're in the same space. So are we any better than we were before? I don't know. I know we're not, but I mean, we should have given it a chance.
Okay. Now, just an add-on to that. So, in the 6 months, what is it that it was election time? Was that why it
No,
changed,
what
or?
happened was that the board changed.
Okay.
We, Lamont Johnson was brought back to the board, and so we had the 3 majority then, and the 2 of us, we did not have majority. So everything that was put in place was taken away.
Okay.
Everything.
I understand. Okay, and how many times have you attempted to run on the board?
Oh my goodness, too many times. I think 4, 5, I don't know. Probably 4 or 5. And the reason why I do it, because I will never, ever give up on our kids. I believe that I am qualified, I'm capable to be on the board. And it's kind of like, why am I not on the board? The time that I was on the board, we had changes.
Mm-hmm.
We had changes. When I left, we had a fund balance. When I left, we were bringing back programs. So I have a proven track record. So I don't know why. But I will continue to run regardless of what happens, because I'm not going to give up on our children, and I think I would be really good, because I've proven that I'm good, and I would be really good to be on the board again.
I'm glad that you followed up with that, because that was actually going to be my question. What continued to motivate you to run?
Oh, okay.
So you knocked that one right out the park. So that's good. You know, and I echo what you say, that you know what, if at first you don't succeed, try
again.
And that's what we teach our children, never to give up. And that's what you're doing, continuing to
I think, yeah, like
run.
like I say, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get up.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Exactly.
And when your heart is in the right place, then you continue to do what's right. You continue to fight, you know? Like John Lewis says, when you see something that's not right, that's wrong, you have to say something and you have to do something. So I'm always going to be saying something and I'm always going to be doing something, because our kids deserve the very best. You know, we cannot, even with our graduation rate in the 80s, whatever, you're still leaving, 14-15% of your kids behind.
Right.
Okay? And then of those kids who are graduating, what are they graduating to? Like, how many are going on to college? How many have a trade? So you just can't just put kids out in the street. That's not what education is about. It's about making sure that they are successful in life. So my thing is, we need to start tracking our kids. Like, where are they 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? You know, that to me would be a sign of how good our educational system was for the kids in Hempstead. So,
absolutely. What are your thoughts on the New York City cellular ban?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, when I was speaking to a young teacher that happens to be working in the city, and she was saying, "Oh, the kids are on phones," and so I'm like, "What? How can kids be on phones while you're trying?" To teach, you know, so I think they're a distraction. I think kids spend too much time on it, not in school, you know, because they spend enough outside of school, not in school. No, so I am totally for that, because it's just a distraction. And why? Because what do you need it for? What do you need it for in school, right? What do you need it for? Anything, I'm sure we have computers, we have whatever. You don't need your phone, no. So I'm totally for that.
Well, this is one of the last questions before we wrap it up. If a elected, would you be able to work with the current board and put aside any personal views and opinion and focus solely on the children and family that you are elected to serve?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I did, and that's what I will continue to do as long as you put the children first. Put the children first. If it's not going to promote academic success or emotional healing, whatever. I'm not. No, it has to be about the children. It has to be about the total child. Emotional, physical, mental, everything. Any program that's going to better our children, I'm definitely for it. And I don't know if there's a board member that's not for that, then you have to question why that person is on the board. But I'm definitely willing to work with all board members because I think we have the same goal, and that's student success.
Okay. Now, why should we elect you?
Because, like I said, I am competent, I'm experienced, I put the children first, and I just want what's best for the kids, and that's why you should elect me. I'm not one that's gonna be. First of all, I'm not one with an ego, but it's not about me. It's always about the kids, and I feel like what's ahead of us is greater than what is behind us. So I'm constantly going to continue to fight for our children, and that is why I hope that people will elect me, because they know that I think character matters. I think people know that I'm honest, I have integrity, and I think that's very important for a member of the board. To me, character matters, and people know me. People that know me know that I have devoted my life to my children. They're all my children.
Excellent. All right, everyone. So here you have it, Ms. Gwendolyn Jackson. Make sure that you guys get out to vote on May the 20th, which is Monday? Tuesday.
Tuesday, May 20th,
okay.
ABGS Middle School from 7 to 9 p.m. If you want to find out more about me, you can go on my website, which is www.gwen4education.com.
Okay, everyone. So we conversed, we had a conversation, and that was what we did today to make sure that we give you guys all of the information you need to make sure that you get out and vote. That's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we vote, and now we have it right here, Ms. Gwendolyn Jackson. So we thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you. So you guys have a good day. See you later.
Bye.
Hope all is well. Hope all is well. Welcome to